Hey there, my fellow author. I'm Sarah Elizabeth Sawyer, an old soul kind of writer living my dream as a full-time author and authorpreneur. But I didn't start out living a confident, creative lifestyle. I struggled with the fears and the mental and emotional barriers that so often plague writers at all stages of their author career. But the truth is that with the right knowledge, tools, and training, you can overcome those barriers. I'm here to teach you how I've developed a lifestyle that's allowed me to publish 19 books and counting. Each week, as you tune into the Confident Fiction Author podcast, you'll get clarity on the steps you need to take to advance your writing career. Whether it's developing your ideal writing routine, tackling new skills like dictating your fiction, or overcoming the obstacles life throws your way, this podcast will help you live a more confident, creative lifestyle. Let's get started. Hey there, my friend, and welcome to this week's episode of the Confident Fiction Author Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Elizabeth Sawyer, and I have a question for you. Have you ever failed a New Year's resolution? Okay, so we are into the new year, y'all. 2025 is here, and many people around the world set New Year's resolutions before the big ball dropped, and within minutes, literally within minutes of a new year, hashtags like New Year's resolution fail start trending on social media. I remember reading one that said it was two sisters who challenged each other to go to the gym, and so far all they had lifted was a fork. And speaking of gyms, I heard one statistic where gyms overbook their membership by like something crazy, 80 or 90%, because they know most people at the beginning of the year start off with these great intentions to get in shape, but they know that most people will not follow through. And so that kind of adds to the slump to the beginning of the year. I know for me personally, this is always a really slumpy time. Slumpy. I don't even know. Is slumpy a word? I guess it is now. Anyway, this is that time of year where and this for so many people and authors especially, we're coming out of the holidays. It's been a grand time, hopefully for most people, with family and with friends, and all of the lights and the decorations and the gift giving and the kindness and generosity that just seems to permeate the world during the Christmas season. And I absolutely love it. I love ringing in the new year, but then where do we go from there? There's no holidays or parties or festivities to look forward to, at least not in the bulk that we just went through from Thanksgiving to the new year. And so this is just that lag time, that slumpy time after the holidays where our writing probably most likely got squeezed out, and you may have lost momentum as an author. And that's totally fine. It's totally fine to take that time off during the holidays to rest and recuperate and refill the creative well. I talked about in episode 9 about how the holiday season is usually my big boon time for reading, doing lots and lots of reading at the end of the year and just refilling myself personally and creatively. But then we get into January, and I typically know what to do with the new year, but I don't know what to do with January. It's this weird tension that I find myself in with this month, and you may be feeling the same thing, especially when it is just so common for people's New Year's resolutions to fail. They wanted to have a strong start to the year, and it's already falling apart, sometimes within minutes of the new year ringing in. So this is not going to be an episode where I talk about all the ways that we can fail in New Year's resolutions. What I want to talk about is revising your author mindset to give you a better path forward, something other than New Year's resolutions, something that's going to give you concrete ways to eliminate limiting beliefs in your life and embrace liberating truths so that you can make real changes in your life as an author in ways that's so much more powerful than New Year's resolutions. So for me, some of the things that I've done in revising my mindset as an author was becoming a morning person. And I know a lot of you listening are strong night writers. You write in the evenings or even late into the night, or afternoons are your better time. And for me, I used to just be all over the place. I didn't have a good time that I could write or that I felt the most energized and creative until I became a morning person. And I'm not saying you have to become a morning person, but it is something to consider. There is just a lot of power in that first few hours of the day when a lot of the rest of the world isn't stirring yet. And so you don't have a lot of distractions and other things that are trying to give you that sense of busyness before you've even gotten into your most important work of the day. So I doubted for years that I could become a morning person. I didn't even really consider it because I was just someone who slept in and didn't really get myself going until like noon or 1 o'clock, and just found myself not really getting anywhere with what I wanted to do as an author, as a person, until I began developing myself into becoming a morning person. So that's one of the things that I revised in my author mindset. The biggest thing, though, that has made the difference for me as a fiction author, as a confident fiction author, was mastering dictation. And I'm not going to go into this too much, but I just want to say that I had so many limiting beliefs around dictation. I would try and I would fail to dictate my fiction, and I would just be like, my brain doesn't work that way. That was my limiting belief for a lot of years. Or I don't have the money to invest in the software that I need to do dictation, and that was a limiting belief. So once I began embracing liberating truths and training myself and finding that I could train myself to do dictation and that I actually didn't need to spend money on software, once I revised my author mindset and replaced those limiting beliefs with liberating truths, I was able to become a dictating author, and I've now dictated 11 books that are published, and I'm continuing on with dictating all of my fiction. So I realized in order to change my habits, like becoming a morning person, or to master a new skill like dictation, I had to revise my mindset. So if this sounds a bit abstract, let's just make it more fun with a writing allegory. So as fiction authors, we all have the opportunity to write those messy first drafts and then go back in and edit and revise those manuscripts so that they're clearer and more effective. So just as we have that opportunity, we also have the opportunity to revise the wrong thinking that may be holding us back from becoming confident fiction authors and living our best creative lifestyles. With all that said, let's get into the meat of the content here and break down how you can revise your author mindset to live your best creative lifestyle. Let's get into it. Number 1, mindset matters. Let me just say up front that I'm not talking woo-woo or manifestation, things like that when I talk about mindset. I am talking about taking our thoughts captive and really assessing what is our mindset around certain topics. What are we believing about things in our life that we may not even be aware of? And it's just become such a part of our mindset and our lives that we just accept it as truths. I believe that results come from actions, but your actions do follow your beliefs. That's why changing habits at your mindset level is so important. So whenever you have changed your mindset, and those are your beliefs and what you believe about life and what you're capable of, your actions will follow that. So number 1, mindset matters. Number 2, limiting beliefs. Let's talk about what limiting beliefs are. Those are the things that we think about ourselves, about the world, about others, that we believe is true, and our actions follow that based on those beliefs we have, and those beliefs are what's actually holding us back. So for instance, with writers, some authors believe that the only true success I can have as a writer is to be traditionally published, or no one will enjoy the story that I have to tell, or I can't write consistently because I have a full-time job. So all of those are examples for authors and limiting beliefs that we often tell ourselves. So number 3 on revising your mindset is the process that you can go through in order to do that. The first thing is identify the limiting belief. Second is reframe the problem with a liberating truth. Third is reorient by taking new action. So going back to that allegory of editing a manuscript, first thing that we do typically as writers is we need to read back through the entire manuscript and reflect on what we wrote so that we can reframe and revise what is in that manuscript. So the first step in that process is identifying the limiting belief. I listed off some examples of limiting beliefs. Maybe you believe you can't find the time or the space to write due to external factors. Maybe you believe you can't write the story you want to write. Maybe you believe you can't stay consistent in your writing life. So that's the first step. Identify what that limiting belief is in your author life. Pick that one that really feels like it is holding you back the most from becoming a confident fiction author. The second step in the process is reframing that limiting belief with a liberating truth. And so with those examples that I gave, your liberating truths may sound something like this. You can find the time and space to write because you have the agency to access new tools to achieve your goals. Or you can follow your creative calling because you have the freedom to write confidently and with personal conviction because you believe in what you're writing. Or you can create consistency because you have the ability to learn new habits and break unproductive patterns. Those are your liberating truths. Now, once you have reframed your limiting beliefs with liberating truths, it's now time to reorient by taking new action. So your actions, again, follow your beliefs. So now you have a new truth to believe in. Now it's time to reorient and take action on those beliefs. So by embracing liberating truths, it enables us to begin revising our pattern of actions. This may sound something like you can find time and space to write by committing to learning time blocking or dictation. You can start writing your, quote, heart story because you are investing in the training you need to become a confident fiction author. You can stay consistent with writing, starting with a simple habit like morning pages or 5-minute fiction, which I talked about in the previous episode, number 10, about my 5-minute fiction habit. So if you haven't listened to that, go check it out. And it just might become your new action that you take with your liberating truth that you can stay consistent as a fiction author. The best part is that these new actions then create the future our New Year's resolutions can only hope to create. So you may be asking, well, how do I know which goals to set or beliefs to reframe? Like I said, I recommend that you pick that one that is really the one that is holding you back from becoming that confident fiction author. Pick the one that once you have identified the limiting belief and reframed it with liberating truth and take action to reorient yourself, that once you have done that, it will be the catalyst to making so many other things in your creative lifestyle possible. You can also go back and listen to episode number 7, Clarity is Confidence, because once you have clarity on your vision and on your past as a writer, on your present as a writer, on your future as a writer, that will help you in determining what goals you're going for or what beliefs that you need to reframe. So I don't think it's too late at all to set goals for 2025, especially once you have liberated yourself from that one limiting belief that you have that is holding you back as an author. And so that's what I want you to do after you finish this podcast. You have 3 steps. Identify one limiting belief, reframe it with a liberating truth, and then reorient by taking new action. For me, with dictation, because I had tried and failed so many times, that limiting belief was so easy for me to continue to embrace, to lean on, to keep me blocked from becoming a dictating author. But I couldn't ever quite give up on it. I would hear like a podcast where an author was being interviewed and talking about being a dictating author and all of the word counts they would rack up. And I would get excited, try it again, fail again, and reinforce that limiting belief of your brain just doesn't work that way. You'll never be able to dictate your fiction and take advantage of all of the things that authors who are able to dictate can do, like better health, being able to go out for a walk while writing their story, or like what I do, just laying in bed and racking up words without any strain on my arms or my wrists or my shoulders or my neck. So I knew there was lots of benefits there, but I was held back with the limiting beliefs of my brain doesn't work that way. And also things like, you're not a fast learner, Sarah. New things come so much easier for everyone else. Even if you put the work into it, you're still going to fail. And so those limiting beliefs did hold me back. But the liberating truth was I could train my brain to write via dictation, to be able to speak my words instead of typing them, to take advantage of all of the benefits that dictating authors were experiencing. Once I embraced that liberating truth of, I don't care that I failed in trying dictation before, I'm not going to give up, because if I don't give up, I eventually will be able to dictate my fiction. And so I took action on that, and now I'm able to dictate all of my fiction. And if that is I talked about you identifying one limiting belief that will just catapult you into the lifestyle that you want as an author, and you have that limiting belief around dictation, I want to invite you into the Liberating Truths and the training to take action that I took in order to dictate my fiction. And that is through my Dictation Bootcamp for Authors. My next bootcamp is right around the corner. It kicks off with the pre-party on January the 27th. This is a live event. You get to come in to Zoom, where I will be personally teaching each session during the boot camp and guiding you through a series of assignments that will get you started on your journey to dictating your fiction. The boot camp is just $37, and combined with your liberating truth that you're going to write down, that I can learn how to dictate my fiction because I'm going to invest the time and money into getting the training that I need to do it. Bring that liberating truth with you into the Dictation Bootcamp, and let's take that action together so that you can fully embrace your new liberating truth around dictating your fiction. I would love to see you inside my January Dictation Bootcamp for Authors. You can get enrolled over at fictioncourses.com/dictation bootcamp. Again, it's only $37. It's a live 3-day event plus the pre-party, which will take place on January the 27th. You'll also have access to our private Facebook group so that you can share this journey with your fellow authors. Hundreds of authors have gone through my dictation boot camps, and I hope that you will be one of them this January as we get through this slumpy time of year to fully embrace liberating truths and take action that could change your writing life in 2025. Again, that's over at fictioncourses.com/dictation bootcamp. I will see you there. And be sure and stay tuned for the next episode of the Confident Fiction Author Podcast, which will drop this next week. Until then, take care.